Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Jesse Nyberg here. Today we're going to be going over 10 tips for your online portfolio. So if you enjoy this, please make sure to drop a like, drop a comment, and subscribe for more videos. Now let's get into it. So the first thing that you have to think about when you're building out your portfolio is choosing the right platform. And all different designers have different types of needs for this. For example, if you're a web designer, I recommend you probably code your own website and throw in some fancy parallax scrolling and some cool animations to kind of impress, your prospective employer or different people hiring you for freelance projects. If your work involves a lot of logo design, branding, poster work, layouts, then you're probably fine with something like a website builder. I personally use Adobe Portfolio because it's free with the Creative Cloud and I can't really be bothered to be paying for another monthly subscription. But if you want to use a site builder though, I recommend checking out Squarespace, Cargo, or Wix. I've used Squarespace in the past for both client projects as well as some of my own, and it seems to work, and Cargo seems like a cool alternative to some nicer, more designed like European type layouts. I also recommend checking out WordPress if you want to do a little bit more work, but you'll have a lot more customability. The second tip I have for you, I think is often overlooked, but very important, and that is to get a custom domain name. If you use any of these site builders, you're going to be stuck with something like very ugly jessenyberg.wix.builder.site.com or something of that nature, and you don't want to be like that, even if it's not like you're trying to hide the fact that you didn't code it or anything like that, but it just makes you look more professional. For example, I like the .design domain. My URL is jessenyberg.design. Just the extension of the URL gives the person that is going to click on your site an understanding of what it's going to be. So it can be jessenyberg.art.design. Whatever it may be, I think a custom domain name is both valuable and also just kind of sets you apart a little bit and helps you stand out for people trying to hire you. If you don't know where to get one of these, I use GoDaddy myself, but I've also heard good things from a site called HostGator. So check both those out. So this next tip is something that it took me a little bit to learn in college, because when I was in college, everyone was trying to have the most fancy portfolios, spend all their time working on their scrolls, how everything, is laid out, different JavaScript stuff. But what I think is that I don't think you should overcomplicate things. The container that holds the work is not as important as the work inside. Some of the best portfolios I've seen are very simple. The layout's easy. The UX is simple and easy to navigate. And it gives the viewer a better experience and able for them to view your work without getting distracted. I've seen some sites that are beautifully coded and they're amazing. They have tons of interesting animations, effects, but sometimes they're so heavy and complicated that it can distract from the actual purpose is showing your work. So just be careful when you're designing the site or when you're choosing a template. Try not to overcomplicate it and let the work speak for itself. So this tip is about choosing what's going to go into the portfolio. One thing I see a lot that I've been trying to get away from since I've been out of school for the past few years is having too many school projects in your portfolio. I'm not sure if this is a common take that other people agree with, but I believe as you get older, you should have less and less projects from your university or from your school in your portfolio. It shows that you've been working in the industry and taking on real clients or setting the initiative to do personal projects rather than just stuff you were forced to do while you're at school. So I would say if you're about 1 to 2 years out, think about what kind of projects you can do to replace the ones you have from school. And if you're currently in college, seek out some clients, seek out some personal projects to pepper in with your school projects. Because I've talked to a lot of employers when I've applied for jobs, and every time I've talked to them, when they mention my portfolio, they have not once mentioned, I really like this project you did at CSU Chico. It's always the personal stuff or the client work. So just be careful and take that with a grain of salt. This next tip kind of builds off of that. When you are choosing your projects, please only choose your best projects. You don't have to show everything you've ever done in your portfolio. That's not the point. You only want to show the best work, because odds are if you have something not as strong, the client or the employer is going to click into that and they're going to view that, and that's what's going to represent you. And it doesn't matter whether these are client projects or personal projects. only show your best work. There's kind of a stigma around personal projects, but I think they're just the corny ones, like rebranding Google. Obviously wouldn't be happening as an entry level or younger designer. I think personal projects are good because they show initiative, they show that you have your own art direction, and they can be super creative and set you apart from other either candidates or prospective freelancers. So don't be too worried about showing only client projects, whether they're personal or client projects. Just show your best work. I recommend only showing 4 to 6 projects in your portfolio. Anything more than that can be crowded and overcomplicate the goal. So when you are showing your work and you figure out which projects you want to include in your portfolio, make sure to always show your work in context. Show your projects in context, because this gives a better understanding of what you did, what the final outcome was, what problem you solved. If you're doing a branding project, don't just show the logo plain there on the white background in black. Show the different elements that you use. Show the problems that the client had. Show the solution. If it's a redesign, show the old design that you redid. Put everything into context, because context is king. The more there is, the better understanding that the client or employer will have, and the less they have to ask you about. You want your portfolio to speak for itself. Side thing, you also want to be able to speak to your work. You want to have knowledge about what you did and be able to elaborate on things, but you want there to be just enough information where there isn't too much to read, but also the person can easily understand what you did, what the goal was, what you accomplished, and the final outcome of this entire project. One super easy tip to put things into context is just use mockups. Mockups are super valuable. I'll drop some links in the description to a few sites that have amazing mockups, anything from t-shirt design to stationery to, books, whatever it may be. So check those out. One thing that I've been doing recently is replacing the worst project in my portfolio every time I update it. So if I want to keep my portfolio with a cheeky 4 to 6 projects, if I'm going to add a new project, I'm not going to make it 7. I'm going to replace the weakest link. I think this is good because it goes back to one of my earlier tips where it keeps your portfolio simple and efficient, but it also, allows you to realize which work is not as strong, replace that, and just continually improve your portfolio, and it'll get stronger and stronger each time you update it. This next tip is about the type of work. When you're choosing what work to put in your portfolio, you have to be conscious if the project is, sufficient enough to go in there. And I think that it's easy to get distracted and put in stuff that may not be as strong. However, the biggest tip I think you can take from this is only show the type of work you want to be doing. You might be tempted to show a project you did for a huge client, even though you didn't like the type of work or you didn't like the project at the end, but that's not good. You want to show the type of work that you want to be doing in the future. If your entire portfolio is web design, you can't expect to pitch to a client about branding or logo design, or vice versa. You want to have the work have a theme to it, be in the niche that you want to operate in, and also show that you can have a little bit of versatility within that niche. So when you're choosing your projects, just choose the type of work you want to be doing. This tip is pretty small, but I feel like it's a huge usability issue I see all the time with people's portfolios. When you go to your contact page, have your contact information listed there, whether it be an email, a phone number, or some way they can reach you other than just a contact form. I think a contact form is fine, but that shouldn't be the end-all option. There's tons of times where I want to do a specific email without the contact form format, and I can't access the person's information because all they have is that. It's a small kind of UX thing that I think everyone can have and improve on in their portfolio. All right, we made it to the last tip, and this one's very simple, and it's have your links to other places on your portfolio. Your portfolio should not only show your work, but it should be a directory for other people to connect with you and reach you. You should have your Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, whatever it may be. Even if it's small little icons, have it somewhere. You want your different sites to kind of be a loop where people can go from one to the other without having to figure out where they can contact you. Super simple, but make sure your social media is there somewhere so people can connect with you and reach out to you. I hope these tips have been helpful to you. Please drop a comment if you have any other tips or any advice on your portfolio. I'd love for all of us to help each other out. Also, if you have other questions, drop them in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, drop a like, subscribe for more, and check out the description below for links to the Discord, Patreon, and a bunch of other cool stuff. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.